Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Coffee with Tea. I'm your host, the amazing T Street. First, let me apologize because yesterday I heard it from several folks that they need the notes. And so I want to start by apologizing that I did not prepare the 3 points of notes on the screen for y'all to see, but I do have them for today because what y'all will not do is come in my inbox again and tell me how I messed up because I already know. So I start with an apology this morning. Today's topic, I'd rather have an oops than an if only. I'd rather have a oops than an if only. Let me ask you this question. Have you ever replayed a moment in your mind and said, if only I had tried this? Or, man, if I only I had spoken up, if only I had gone for it. Now compare that phrase to oops, my bad. Oops might be embarrassing. Oops might cost you something. Oops might make you laugh at yourself later on. But if only, that one right there, that lingers. If only haunts you. That one sits in your spirit and whispers, you'll never know what could have been. Hmm. Today, I can tell you, it is better to live with a few oops than a full life of if onlys. It is better to live with a few oops than a full life of if onlys. Good morning, Jackie. Good morning, Alana. I'm so glad that both of y'all are on here because this message, I believe, is going to hit y'all in a way that I hope that it does. Good morning, Deaconess Rhonda. So I'd rather live with an oops than a full life of if onlys. The first thing, because today's topic is I'd rather have an oops than an if only. Oops means that you moved. If only means that you stayed stuck. If only I had done this. Oops means that you moved. If only means you stayed stuck. Let's be honest. Nobody says, oops, still sitting. You only say oops when you tried something. You spoke up. You stepped out. You took a shot. Oops is the language of movement, y'all. Oops is proof you were in the game. But if only, that's the language of hesitation and stagnation. That's what happens when fear convinces you to stay on the sidelines. And here's the truth: you cannot win a game you refuse to play. I'm going to look you in your camera eye and say, you cannot win a game you refuse to play. You might mess up, but at least you'll have a story. Man, I took my shot and I missed, versus I never took any shots. Because I've never met anybody who regretted trying as much as they regretted not trying. Man, I invested, it didn't work out. But I just played it safe all of my life. I don't know about y'all, but I don't want to get to the end of my life and have lots of regrets based on if onlys. I want literally to be in the game and say, man, I gave it everything that I had. I tried. Oops. Number two, oops teaches, but if only torments. If oops, it teaches us lessons, but if only, it simply torments us, y'all. Let me tell you something about an oops moment. It might sting at first, it might teach you something. And oops says, now you know what works, or now you know what doesn't work. Now you're wiser than before. Y'all, oops is a teacher, but if only is a tormentor. It replays in your mind. I don't know about y'all, but I've had some if only moments, and I didn't like them very much because it just kept replaying. Man, what if I had just applied? What if I had just said yes? What if I had just said what was on my mind and my heart? What if I had believed in myself? What if? And the worst part, if only comes with no lesson, y'all. So I'd rather have an oops, I learned something, than live my life saying, if only I had tried. Am I the only one that has some? Good morning, Miss Brown. Am I the only one who has some of those times where you wish that you had literally just spoken up and done something versus doing nothing. Jackie, one of the things I love about you is you get out there and run. I don't know if you meet all your goals, but I know that even on the days when it's snowing, you out there running, you're doing something. You won't have a life of if onlys. You will have a life of oops, maybe, but never if onlys. Number 3, y'all. Oops builds courage. If only builds fear. Good morning, Olivia. Jackie says, you most certainly are not. Deaconess Rhonda says, you are not the only one. Can I just say to y'all, most of us, if we're honest, have had some if only moments. But from this day forward, we can declare that we're going to build our courage with oops versus our fear with if onlys. Every time you have an oops moment, you prove to yourself, I can survive this. Y'all, how do you know that resilience exists in you? Because if you've never been knocked down, you can't ever get back up. Y'all, I'm like, shoot, I done survived that. I survived worse than that. I'm going to try it anyway. You realize you didn't die. The world didn't end because you had an oops moment. You're still here. And guess what? You get a little braver. But every time you choose, if only, fear gets stronger because you're not training yourself to believe. It's safer not to try. And the more you avoid, the smaller your world becomes. The more you avoid, I know I have friends who literally live in bubbles because, well, okay, I have associates because none of my friends live in bubbles. I have associates who live in bubbles because they're afraid to try anything. But courage, it doesn't come from thinking. Courage comes from doing, even if doing leads to an oops. So here's what I want to close with, y'all. The next time you're standing at the edge or the precipice of an opportunity, here's what I want you to do. Ask yourself this question. What do I lose? Fear will show up and it will whisper to you, what if you mess up? Your answer back is, then I'll have an oops and I'll keep moving. But oops is temporary. If only can last a lifetime. Send the application, y'all. Start the business. Speak up in the meeting. Take the chance. Answer the call. Go for the race. Lose some weight. Make the shot. Step on the stage. And if it doesn't go perfectly, shrug your shoulders and say, oops, my bad. But I'd rather see you have an oops, my bad moment than have a lifetime of if onlys. Alana says the amount of if onlys I have because I was too scared of oops. Can I say to you, courage is not the absence of fear, Alana. Courage is the ability to persevere through fear and do it anyway. Every time I step on a stage, I do it afraid. But I tell you what, I do it. And as a result of that, I get to walk out the call and the purpose that is on my life. So I want to encourage y'all today. Take the risk. Take the risk to have an oops versus living a life of if only. I'm the amazing T Street, but y'all already know there's absolutely positively nothing amazing in me that's not in each and every one of you. So today, do one thing that requires you to risk an oops versus something that might give you a lifetime of if only. Have an amazing day, y'all.